All right, good morning, everybody. I'm opening up this formal session of the Yamhill County Board of Commissioners on December 4th at 10 a.m. Commissioner King, would you lead us in the flag salute?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you for that. I'd like to ask that if there's anybody online that wants to give public comment, to please raise your virtual hand now. I'm going to move on to item C, which is the calendar session. Does anybody have any changes? None? Okay. D is public comment. We have one in person and one online.
Chair, if I may, sorry, I wasn't prepared. Calendar and session went through. I just want to make the first kind of an announcement that on December 18th, that formal session will be a virtual only. We won't be meeting here in room 32. We'll make sure we get the notices on the next couple of the, next agenda, and we'll get something posted.
I appreciate
But
that.
we won't be in room 32 on December 18th. It'll be a virtual only formal session.
Yep. Okay. Thank you for that reminder. Public comment, we have one online and we have one in person. I'd also like to make sure that commissioners have seen all the public comments that were emailed in, and also for the audience or the public to be aware that any comments that were mailed in for the Planning Commission were forwarded on to the Planning Commission just in case you didn't CC them. So it will make it for the packet tonight for that meeting. So first up, we're going to call from the audience is going to be Beth Kaiser with a general comment. Name and address, please.
Beth Kaiser, 1400 Hoskin Street, Newburgh, Oregon. Greetings, Chair Johnston, Commissioner Sterrett, and King. Thank you for this opportunity to speak this morning. I'd like to give a brief update on the gas tax referendum, which was led by Representative Deal, Senator Starr, and Jason Williams of the Taxpayers Association. Across Oregon, thousands of volunteers mobilized to gather signatures. Here in Yamhill County, we had 200 volunteers alone. We established 12 pop-up tents through most of the cities in the county to gather signatures, and there are 10 fixed sites throughout the county where people can go in and sign the petition. Signature gathering began on November 14th, and that first weekend in Yamhill County alone, we collected 1,661 signatures, which is pretty impressive. Then came the statewide signing Saturday, which was the 22nd, and every town had a signing location in it. And over that weekend, the state gathered 151,000 signatures, and they only needed 78,000. So they've done very, very well. Today, there are well over 175,000 signatures for this referendum, and in our county alone, we have 10,734 signatures for this bipartisan issue. So when I was working at these pop-ups, I talked to all kinds of people across the aisle, Democrats, Republicans, independents, all of them, and none of them want to lose their money. They want to keep their hard-earned money. So they're really opposed to this tax bill. And I'm just proud of how Yamhill County stood out. Being the captain, I know what's going on in the other counties, and we showed up in a really, really big way, probably bigger than the other counties. I'm kind of proud of that. So thank you for your time, and thank you for allowing me to speak on behalf of the good people of Yamhill County.
Thank you. We have one comment online. Please prompt them. Good morning, Sonda.
Good morning.
Name and
Sonda Martin, Newburgh, Oregon.
Thank you.
Good morning, County Commissioners. Thank you for the opportunity to make some public comment this morning on behalf of many other good citizens in Yamhill County regarding the presence and unlawful detainment of members of our community by ICE agents. I hope you all are in agreement with me that the immigrant community brings enormous cultural and economic value to our county. They work here, they pay taxes, they pour dollars into our local county, they worship here, they volunteer here, and they enjoy all that Yamhill County has to offer. Their work in the agricultural, hospitality, educational, manufacturing, and business sectors is critical to the health of our communities. Their cultural contribution in sharing their customs, food, and celebrations allows us to learn and partake in new experiences that widen our knowledge of different cultures. However, the narrative that immigrants are drug dealers, murderers, and rapists can be dispelled with national factual data that actually shows just the opposite. The truth is that the majority of immigrants in this country and in this county are hardworking, law-abiding individuals that contribute to society in multiple ways. We are blessed to have them as our coworkers, our family members, our neighbors, our church members, our businessmen and women, and our friends. I'm hoping that you, as commissioners, recognize the value they bring to our county, to our cities, to our little rural areas. I hope you agree with me that an attack on any group of individuals in this county is an attack on the county at large. No group of people should be targeted, intimidated, and traumatized by armed, masked individuals based on skin color. No group of people should be stopped, questioned, and unlawfully detained based on skin color. No child should live in fear that while they are at school, their parents will be kidnapped from their home. No family should be hiding in their home, skipping work, school, medical appointments, and food shopping because they fear being separated by ICE detainment. And I have several questions for you as elected officials to consider and act on. How are you, besides Bubba, who I know is speaking out on their behalf, and thank you very much, Commissioner King, but how are the other two commissioners protecting our immigrant community members against the unlawful targeting, arrest, and detainment by ICE agents? How are you directing the Yamhill County Sheriff's Department to protect our immigrant community members from ICE agents? How will the sheriff respond if a 911 call is placed by an immigrant that has been pulled over by ICE agents and is seeking help? When are you going to make a stand for the immigrant community members in Yamhill County the way you make a stand against the trail and in favor of the farmers who lined your pockets so that you would go against the rest of the county members? How are you going to make a stand for the immigrant community members instead of spouting off anti-vax quackery like Mary likes to do? When are your Christian values going to actually extend to protecting the immigrant community from trauma? I want to hear actual words and see actual actions being done on things that matter. The good citizens of Yamhill County or the good residents of Yamhill County don't just care about not paying taxes. They actually care about being able to live their lives. And it's time that you guys actually do something for someone other than the 1% that looks like you. Thank you.
Thank you, Sonda.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to move on to department updates. And today we have Mike Barnhart from Finance with us.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good
Good
morning.
mor- Thanks for having me here, my annual update. So to change the gears, we're going to talk about accounting. Pretty exciting. I'll give you a few success stories we've had in 2025 and then a couple of projects we have on our agenda on 26. So first of all, we have finally gone with electronic depositing, which has been very, very good for us. You know, you go to many places and they just scan the checks in and it goes right to their bank. Well, we're doing that now with our checks. So what's been good about that is that's reduced our courier services that take our cash to the bank. So we've actually saved money in this whole process. So that's been a big plus for us. Updated all of our accounting policies and procedures. As you remember, the old system GEMS, they were all written with that system in mind. And now that we're stable with Oracle, we've updated all of the policies to present, to discuss and, relate how we do things now in Oracle. So that's been a big plus. That was a big project. Finance is stable. We had to move to this, we could call it a program, but not a program, but part of Oracle that's called Redwood. That was a big transition change. We've made that change in Oracle, HR and payroll together. Our financial statements continue to be good. We've gotten our 6th year of the comprehensive certification with GFOA, that we've got a highly qualified financial statement. No audit findings the last 2 years, which is great, because what happens is when you have 2 years of no findings, you get put into a low risk category, which means the auditors have to do less work in the future, which has been a good thing for us. And our staffing is stable. We've had one change that we're still working on training there. So what's going on in 2026? Our big, I wouldn't say a project, but our big, it's finance. We're trying always hard to be efficient. We're trying to reduce risk. We're trying to get good internal controls. And one thing we have never had is what I would call a cash receipting system. So Oracle did not provide one, GEMS did not provide one. So what happens is when cash comes to the departments, they have to manage it. They got to record it. It could be in Excel, it could be in a subsystem, something like that. And then it finally gets entered into Oracle. But a good cash receipting system, when you go to the counter and you pay your bill, they'll take care of it on the computer, but it immediately goes into the accounting system. And it's a good internal control, because the less time there is between having the cash or the checks and getting them recorded, that's where the risk is at there, because then somebody could technically maybe take it or pocket it. It might get caught in due time, but it gets caught quicker when immediately the transaction is recorded. So we're looking at some cash receipting systems. We've talked to Marion County. They've got one we've looked at. We wanted to do one with the Oracle upgrade, and it was recommended at the time by our consultants, Graviton, but it was a lot to chew at that point. So we wanted to get Oracle stable and then look at a cash receipting system. So we're not aware of any problems going on, but we want to reduce that risk that somebody could do something that we don't want them to do and tighten that control. We're also looking at leased software. It was great in the old days, and that's just 5 years ago. If you paid for a lease, you had rent expense, and then you recorded it and you were done. But of course, governmental accounting is all theoretical. And so they're saying that's really a financing transaction. So now we have all these leases that we have to basically discount present value of future lease payments using an effective interest rate. We've got to capitalize a liability. We've got to capitalize an asset, depreciate and amortize. It's taken a lot more work. We got 39 leases at my last count at the county. 11 of those are capitalizable, which was what I'm talking about. And I'm doing it all in Excel. It's kind of risky. It's not very good. Most counties across Oregon use some program to manage all the leases. Right now, if we wanted to look at a lease, we'd have to go into the Oracle legal file maybe, or look at my manual work papers. But this would be a lease accounting system that would basically track leases, as well as this new thing they issued, I think, 3 years ago called software-based information technology arrangements, which are basically Oracle releasing software. So that becomes basically a lease in itself. So add 3 more to that, and we've got 4 people doing it by hand. Anyway, I know it's not exciting stuff, but it's a big deal for finance. Also, our preparation, I brought this just to, throw it out there. This is our act for our annual comprehensive annual financial report. And that is prepared by the auditors. And that's really not best practice, because the auditors are supposed to audit this and we prepare it. That's basically that's what their purpose of. They should be putting in a few pages here of their opinion. But what happens is we don't have the software to do it. We never did with the prior one. Now with Oracle, we're closer, but we still need to get maybe a package that will help us do this. Because I've done it in other organizations in Excel. It's a tremendous amount of effort, takes more staff, more time, very risky. But the new stuff out there is pretty amazing. And the fact that you just upload your trial balance, things are all linked together, much more it's much more seamless. It takes less time, less effort. There's a cost to that, of course, but we're looking at that as well. There's 2 big packages out there that most counties in Oregon use, and we're kind of just looking at them. So we haven't made any decisions on anything or gone forward formally, but these are things that we'd like to do to maybe make the operation a little more efficient and reduce some costs and bring some of that experience in-house. And the last one, which is a bigger deal, I think, is our credit cards. We paid, I looked it up, $92,000 last year in credit card fees. We have over $3 million in credit card sales, mostly in planning and the elections and things like that. And we haven't done an RFP for that since I've been here. So a credit card processor goes along with a cash management system, because if you can pay with a check or a credit card or cash, that's all managed together. So we kind of want to put those two items together. We think we can save some fees on credit cards. I thought we had a pretty good deal with US Bank, but we need to make sure that's accurate. And so we're going to look at getting maybe a new credit card process, or at least seeing what's out there. And if we tie that to a cash receipt system, then it'll be all in one. You can pay on the web, you can pay with the credit card, but it all goes into Oracle immediately. And that reduces our risk between cash held and cash deposited and cash recorded. So that's pretty good news for us. Other than that, another thing that is not fun for me, but GASB, Governmental Accounting Standards Board, always issuing new standards. When I first got into government in 2020, there was 34. Now there's 104. So that's about 3.5 a year, I believe they're issuing. So we have some new ones coming up. They're not going to be murderous. They're not huge like some of the past ones are. We got to deal with now in the future how we handle what are called assets held for sale. That would include the property we have out there, or that's across the street here. That includes lien property. That includes seizure property, and any other property that we're actually maybe going to sell. So that's going to change how we account for it. You don't see that on your budget. You see that in this document here, which is full accrual. And so that's what we have to deal with on our end. So other than that, I'd like to thank the finance staff. Tara Williams, of course, is amazing. I appreciate her. Lori and Mindy in payroll are doing great. Jill, receivables, she keeps implementing these new processes that are wonderful. Julie and GL, and Heather in accounts payable. She's our new person, and so she's coming along just fine. So that's all I have.
Fantastic. Are you settling in good
Settling in good.
in the new digs?
Yeah, you kind
Yeah.
of forget that was kind of
YCGC?
staged for
Oh, yeah.
2025.
I don't have to have a heater in the middle of the summer or the middle of the winter.
Okay, good.
I'm quite happy about that.
Nice.
And Dan can attest to that.
Well, I appreciate what you and your staff do for us.
Thank you.
Mike, real quick, will you have the cash receipt system and the credit card fees system reflected in the budget coming up this year? Will that work be done by then?
If
or-
Dr. Ken, I'll be about that. Obviously, there's, I didn't wear my money tied to ask for money.
Yeah.
It's just one of
Yeah,
those things.
yeah. Just
So
preemptively.
I would like to do an RFP that has two components. One is a cash receipt system, one is credit card processing, or somebody who can do both. So we have options to whether to buy one system or two systems that can connect, but we have got to do some work on that yet.
We'll have it on our list when we start building budgets for FY27.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a big deal for us. I think it'll
Yeah.
be really good for the county.
It's not insignificant.
You're a find. You're a real gift. You used to be a treasurer.
Fine.
So you know so much about government finance from so many different perspectives, and you have a really outstanding team. So a lot of people, you're the unsung heroes. We don't see, we don't hear, but you guys do a great job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mike.
Sure.
Have a good
Thanks,
rest of your
Mike.
morning.
Nice job.
Thank you.
Up next is F. It's work session. There is none. G is consent agenda. We have 4 items on there. One of them I just want to bring attention to is appointment of another Parks Board member, Brendan Graham. I would move approval. Is there any further discussion?
None?
None.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. H is old business. H1 is consideration of approval of a board order and findings in the matter of approving on remand planning docket number PAZ 01-24/S-03-24, a comprehensive plan amendment and approval of a 14-lot subdivision for tax lot number R4418010000, applicant John Abrams. I would move approval. Is there any further discussion?
None?
None.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Item H2 is consideration of approval of amendment number 2 to agreement number GR 2507GA between Yamhill County and Chemeketa Community College. Board Order 24-066 for the Early Childhood Educator Educational Development Program effective through December 31st, 2026. This was continued from November 13th. If you remember right, I had questions about the $110,000 FTE. What I did is I met with them as a very short meeting, clarification on it. Nothing's really being out allocated of what originally was allocated for that grant far as personnel costs. So the personnel costs are still the same. They just look a little bit different. And we've also gotten letters of commitment from Chemeketa to continue this program after our grant funding runs out. So I think that's both positive, and I think
made
the
it
letters,
approved last time, yeah.
I think the letters were both made the packet for you guys to review, and I just want to make sure you guys saw
Yes.
those.
Good,
Okay.
thank you. And I want to thank Joya, who has stewarded this project all the way through. There have been so many changes and there were some hiccups along the way, but, hopefully this will be something that really does yield, folks who are going to make a commitment to childcare education in our county. We had a couple of questions because some of the folks were employed outside the county, but thank you for doing that. And also a note, Joya Goodrum has been our economic development manager and for too short a time. And she's going to be leaving. Her last day is next week after. And we are going to really miss her because she has done, as Chair Johnston calls it, the white glove service, has done such a wonderful job for our business community. So thank you for all your hard work. You've been an outstanding addition to our team. We'll miss you. Thank you.
Thank you, Joanne.
I would move approval of H2.
Motion's been made. Any further discussion?
None.
None?
None.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Moving on to other business. I1 is consideration of approval of amendment number 1 to agreement number SO 26015GS between Yamhill County and MedTrust LLC, Board Order 24-363, to modify medical staffing positions serving the adult in custody population utilizing the opioid use disorder treatment program effective upon full execution.
I would move approval. I know we have the sheriff here. If there was questions, it sounds like a pretty cool program, and he's in plain clothes, or at least when I saw him last, so he can fit in the chair. If you guys had questions on this, but
I have none.
okay.
Motion's been made. Any further discussion?
None.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. I2 is consideration of approval to submit a joint application on behalf of the Yamhill County Sheriff's Office, District Attorney's Office, and Health and Human Services, and if awarded, accept Phase 2 funding for the Behavioral Health Deflection, BHD, grant program for the additional funding up to $930,954 retroactive to July 1st, 2025 through August 31st, 2027.
I just want to add that Yamhill County's deflection numbers are among the highest, if not the highest in the state. And as we need to remind people, there haven't been an awful lot, but we have pretty high standards. So those numbers are significant. So I would move approval.
Thank you for that. Motion's been made. Any further discussion?
None.
None?
No.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Moving on to item I3's consideration to accept additional funding for the jail-based medications for opioid use disorder, JMOUD, grant program in the amount of $30,001 for a total of $255,958 effective upon full execution through August 30th, 2027.
I would move approval.
Motion's been made. Any further discussion?
None.
None? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Item I4 is consideration of approval of an intent to award to Bent LLC for construction of the North Hill Road Bridge Maintenance Project in the amount of $176,675. I would move approval. Is there any further discussion?
None.
None.
None? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Item I5 is consideration of approval of the 2025-26 VOCA CFA non-competitive grant agreement between Yamhill County District Attorney's Office and the Department of Justice to support the District Attorney Crime Victim Assistant Division in the total amount of $248,282 retroactive to October 1st, 2025 through September 30, 2026.
I would move approval.
Motion's been made. Any further discussion?
None.
None? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Item I6 is consideration of approval of the 2025-27 Child Abuse Multidisciplinary Intervention, CAMI, CAMI grant agreement in the total amount of $394,931.88 retroactive to July 1, 2025 through June 30, 2027.
I would move approval.
Motion's been made. Any further discussion?
None.
None? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. I7 is consideration of approval of amendment number 1 to intergovernmental agreement number 15373 between Yamhill County and the Oregon Youth Authority, decreasing the general liability insurance coverage from $5 million to $1 million retroactive to July 1, 2025 through June 30, 2027.
I move approval.
Motion's been made. Any further discussion?
None.
None? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Moving on to I8 is consideration of approval of a contract between Yamhill County Transit Area, YCTA, and TAC Transportation, Inc., DBA Pacific Crest Bus Lines for weekday transit service between McMinnville and Junction City in the not-to-exceed amount of $265,000, effective upon full execution through June 30, 2026.
I know this is a pilot program and we have Cynthia here if there is questions, but I would move approval.
Motion's been made. Any further discussion?
None.
None? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Item I9 is consideration of approval of an access agreement between Yamhill County and the City of Carlton, granting the City of Carlton access and use of that certain portion of the county-owned abandoned rail corridor within Carlton city limits, as further described in the access agreement, effective upon full execution through August 2028.
I would move approval, but I think we have a few Carlton counselors here and city manager. You guys want to come up and say, talk about this a little bit? I'd like to hear from them.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you, Chair, Commissioners. Thank you for your consideration of this access agreement, running right through the middle of Carlton. And it is important for us in order to maintain fire and public safety, as well as our transportation in the future for our east-west corridors. And so we appreciate and look forward to our continued partnership with the county as we work towards improving this corridor in the city of Carlton. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm just Counselor Erickson, and I want to extend my thank you to all of you for allowing this. And we're just trying to benefit our town from fire danger, and same goes to the county.
Thank you.
Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Counselor Hill?
My name is Counselor David Hill. I am a counselor in Carlton, and I just want to say that everything that's been said so far is absolutely what I would have said. And thank you for your support. We appreciate it very much in Carlton.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
guys.
you.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Motion's been made by Commissioner King. Any further discussion?
None.
None? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Thank you.
Can we add an item I-10, please?
Sure. Walk on item I-10 by Commissioner Sterrett.
And this is related to a sheriff's request. Sheriff Elliott, would you join us since we don't have the wording for it? Morning.
Morning, Chair and Commissioners. I'm requesting a board waiver of county policy. Let me get the citation pulled up here so I don't misquote it. The county policy currently states in policy number 114, section 4.01, that expenses incurred are reimbursable only for county employees, and that expenses for any guests or family members of the employee are not eligible for reimbursement. Next week, I will be attending the annual conference for the Oregon State Sheriffs along with a number of my staff. The sheriffs in Oregon have really taken an approach over the last few years that, including our families and our spouses. The primary support systems that we have is important for our success. And there are a few events that take place through the week where spouses are invited and encouraged to attend. There is a cost associated with those events. They're primarily meals that take place on site while the conference is occurring. The total amount for all of those attendance is $550. And I'm asking for a waiver of this policy for this one event to allow me to pay for the attendance of the spouses of the staff members that are attending so that they can participate in those offerings and be present for the training that takes place, as well as just time to spend with their spouse who is an employee of the county while we're away for a week-long conference.
We've seen recently with the recent incidents where we had two staff members, a deputy and a sergeant and a detective, who endured a pretty horrific and traumatic incident, and how they spoke to us when Commissioner Johnston and I went over to visit with them. They spoke to us about, I think their words were, my wife is my rock. She's gotten me through this. And that the families are suffering along with the trauma sometimes of a lethal force incident. I think that you have made it a real priority to support the wives and the families. And in the work that you're being asked to do, especially nowadays, I would be 100% in favor of anything that we can do to support those women in supporting you.
I agree with that also. What I want to try to avoid is making a condition for a policy that we have. So I guess what I would recommend is that of my $1,500 that are allocated to my position as commissioner, I just take it from that and fund this, if everybody's okay with that, instead of amending a policy.
I mean, I don't have a problem. I think that we've all been very supportive of and maybe that's just the easiest way to do from an administrative point of view, but I think we've all been very supportive of the sheriff and his wife and her team of how they show up for the spouses, husbands and wives of on the force. So I would see it as our duty, as Commissioner Sterrett said, for the county to do this. I guess if it is an administrative, easier way to do that through our fund, then I'm perfectly happy to do it that way.
I just want to clarify really quickly, because it doesn't matter which bucket of funds it comes out of within the county budget. The county policy in reference here is overnight travel and training, and the limitations are, in place. And it's written into the policy that the board can grant an exemption as the sheriff has requested for this event. So if the board approves that doesn't modify the policy. This would be, I would put some side rails on it for what you're approving, but otherwise what the funds come out of, you could do that as well, but that would be an additional discussion that has no effect on
Okay. Yeah, my main reason was I didn't want to create issues down the road for other departments or set a precedence for it. So I'm good either way.
So I just want to, in light of that, and I appreciate your sentiment in doing that, but there is a provision to ask the board specifically to make an allowance. We're looking at this specific incident, situation, and it's not something that I think is universal to county employees.
Yeah.
So I think it's important to recognize the difference between what your wives do and what other spouses do. So I think since there is a provision, we should go with that. And I also think that what we've done in the past with our fund, giving it to the Sheriff's Foundation and funding that type of thing, I would be interested in continuing to do that like we've done in the past, and then freeing that up and just going with the provision that we have.
Okay. So you want consensus, or you want to vote to approve that?
I believe because you're granting an exception, it's going to require a vote.
Okay. Someone want to make a motion?
I'll move approval.
Motion's been made. Any further discussion?
None.
None. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. 10 passes unanimously. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sheriff.
Thank you, Sheriff.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Up next is J, public hearings. We have J1. I guess I need to open up this public hearing. Going to open up this public hearing at 10:34 on December 4th. And up first is J1, and it is docket C125, an appeal of a planning director's approval of a request for the operation of a loss mitigation business as a home occupation, applicant M&H Oregon Construction LLC and Javier Ceja. And this was a continuation from October 30th. Thank you. Lance?
Thank you, Chair Johnston. Staff finds that the request is consistent with the conditional use criteria listed in sections 1202.02 and 402.07A of the Yamhill County zoning ordinance, and also with the home occupation criteria listed in section 1004 of the Yamhill County zoning ordinance. Staff recommends approval of the conditional use permit for the operation of the loss mitigation business as a home occupation, with the conditions presented in the staff report, along with the 4 additional conditions proposed by the applicant that were suggested to address neighbors' concerns. And I'm happy to read those conditions if the board would like.
Yeah, absolutely.
Condition number 1, activities conducted in conjunction with a loss mitigation business shall be substantially conducted from within the accessory building identified on the site plan. Condition number 2, the accessory building shall receive all necessary improvements required to meet the applicable occupancy rating as provided in the most recent Oregon State Building Code standards. All required building, plumbing, septic, and electrical permits shall be obtained from the Yamhill County Building Department. Condition number 3, an erosion control permit shall be applied for when any earth moving activities of sufficient size require such a permit under state or local standards. Condition number 4, the use shall imply no more than 5 full or part-time employees. Condition number 5, all hazardous wastes shall be handled, treated, and disposed of in compliance with all applicable federal, state, and local laws and regulations. Acids, gasolines, or other flammable or toxic materials shall not be drained or deposited onto the ground or into the septic system. Condition number 6, the operation of the loss mitigation business is personal to Javier Ceja and does not run with the land. Condition number 7, prior to issuance of permits, the driveway shall be inspected and approved by the McMinnville Fire Department. Condition number 8, uses or activities which are substantially different in nature from the operation of a loss mitigation business constitute a second home occupation, and such activity shall be prohibited without additional land use approval. Condition number 9, no outside evidence of the home occupation shall be visible except for a sign not to exceed 24 square feet, which shall be subject to permit and land use approval prior to installation pursuant to section 1006 of the Yamhill County zoning ordinance. Condition number 10, any lighting shall be shielded, deflected, or directed onto the applicant's property so it does not shine onto the adjacent roadway or neighboring lots. Condition number 11, the use of outdoor amplified music or sound in conjunction with the proposed use shall be prohibited. Condition number 12, an area to provide a minimum of 1 parking space for each employee on a maximum working shift shall be established on the subject parcel. The parking area shall be maintained for as long as the business operates on site. There shall be no parking along the northeast equestrian drive right-of-way. Condition 13, this approval is valid for 1 year following the date of final approval and shall expire at that time unless the use has been initiated. Condition 14, a review of the home occupation shall be required 1 year following the date of final approval. The home occupation may be renewed if it continues to comply with the requirements of section 1004.01 of the Yamhill County zoning ordinance and the conditions of approval. A fee may be charged for renewal of the permit. Condition 15, hours of operation shall be limited from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. with the exception of emergency dispatch, which shall be allowed on a 24/7 basis. Condition 16, the applicant and/or landowner shall provide a site obscuring fence no less than 6 feet in height or vegetative screening along the subject parcel's south and west property lines. Condition 17, the home occupation shall not feature the outdoor storage of equipment. However, outdoor storage of business vehicles shall be allowed once the site obscuring fence is installed or vegetative screening is planted. Business vehicles shall be parked behind such fence or screening. Condition 18, the site of the home occupation shall not be used as a meeting location for patrons or clients, instead being limited to use by employees of the home occupation business. And condition 19, modification of any of the above conditions requires approval under section 1202.05 of the Yamhill County zoning ordinance. Violation of any of the above conditions may result in revocation of the conditional use permit with the process detailed in section 1202.07 and 1202.08 of the ML County zoning ordinance. And that concludes the recommended conditions of approval.
Thank you. Is there any discussion on this?
I have a question. Lance, can you, in relation to condition 14, how is that review conducted?
It's conducted annually, and typically we look to see if we've received any code enforcement complaints. And if so, then we may address those on the front end if they're easy to address. If there's potentially consistent violations and resistance to coming into compliance, then that could lead to initiating the revocation process. So far in my time at the county, we've never had to go through that process. Typically folks, once they have this approval in place, my experience anyway has been that they tend to abide by these. And sometimes there's questions in the aftermath of the approval, and we try to answer those questions up front so they're aware of the sequencing of permits or, just trying to address things on the back end.
So you're not making site visits. This is all complaint driven then? Okay,
Typically,
thank
yeah.
you.
Mhm.
Lance, on 17, it says a fence or vegetative screening planted. Are baby trees okay with that, or is a complaint going to get if he starts parking his trees before his vehicles before before they grow taller than the vehicles? Is that where's the standard on that?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think we would, once the screening is planted, we would, if the vegetation is planted, I think we would, I don't want to speak for the rector, but I think we would allow them to park there. They've initiated the planting.
Yeah.
It may take, depending on how fast the plants grow, it may take a year to get to that point where they're fully screened. But I feel like that they're working towards complying with that condition,
Okay.
and they're putting the vegetation in place to create that obscuring boundary.
I have no questions on this. Remind me, can we close this out and then vote on it, or do you? Okay, so I'm going to close this public hearing at 10:42. I would also make a motion now to approve this application based on staff recommendations. Is there any further discussion?
None.
None. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you.
Yep. Yep.
Thank you guys for coming too.
Thank you.
Oh, findings, 2 weeks or 3? 2 weeks?
2 weeks.
Okay.
We're going to
The
be,
remote?
well, that'll be our virtual.
That'd be on
18.
the 18th. Is that,
They're just fine, so they're just.
Yeah.
I know. Is that enough? The 18th? Because that's our last formal session for this month.
It sounded like the attorney was.
Okay.
Set.
All right. I wasn't paying
Let's do
attention.
that. Okay. Findings for the 18th. Thank you very much.
Okay.
And is there, we're on to K now, announcements.
Moving right along.
Yeah.
I thought we would.
Yeah. Yeah. Commissioner King, kick us off.
Thank you, guys. Yeah, busy couple of weeks. Happy Thanksgiving. Make sure to get that out there. Week before that, I was at AOC conference, my first one, and county college graduation and all that fun stuff. I do have to say that I very much appreciate not only AOC, but past president now, Commissioner Schaefer, his initiative towards mental health and really steering that. And I have to say I got a lot out of some of the sessions around that. So keynote speaker and so on. So yeah, it was really a great time to connect with other commissioners around the state. A lot of them I haven't met yet outside of my class of new commissioners. And I think, as you said, Commissioner Johnson, it's, you've got a lot of that first year yourself. Let's see here. I'll get back to my notes. Let's see here, conference. Oh yeah, city councils. I know that we've had several. I caught some highlights of Carlton's, and Newburgh's this week as well. I was there, and you know, they talked about TLT, and I do think that that was, you know, their opinion there might be a little bit ahead of schedule. We're just talking about it now, you know, and I'm open. I want to make sure that it's clear that, especially that they know that I'm open for any option. You know, I think there are a lot of options on the table for that, whether we overlay the cities or not. So I'd just like to get my opinion back out there for them to know on that front. And still working on some stakeholders and talking through some of that as well, as we talked about a few weeks ago. Yeah, lots of other meetings that I don't think are super important to talk about right now. And yeah, and again, thanks for Carlton to showing up today to give your opinion. Thanks.
Cool. Commissioner Sterrett?
Thank you, Chair. First off, I want to talk about the official results of the automatic full recount. And the notice was given on December 2nd. Our clerk sent out a notice that the recount confirmed the original outcome. The results were very close, showing that every vote counts. The measure failed. But I do want to call out our clerk for the accuracy and the integrity of all of the processes that she has. What we've seen over the years is it's been impeccable. So I'm grateful to her for that. Also had some discussions about a regional per House Bill 3644. The Oregon Housing and Community Services is going to be giving some sheltering dollars to the various regional areas. And we had a discussion about the regional coordinator and who that would be. So we're going to hold information on that until OHCS confirms who they are going to pick for Yamhill County. I met with Raul Michael, the Corrections Program Manager, and Keith Stewart, who really works hard to get those who have been incarcerated into productive post-incarceration employment. And I was very impressed by the program that we have. The AOC business meeting, we had the Safe Families benefit, and we appreciate everything Safe Families does. Commissioner Johnston and I were there in terms of being able to keep our kids out of foster care, and that is huge. We went to the Juliet House Volunteer Appreciation. Juliet's house is doing a wonderful, wonderful job. CPRD had an open house, and they were asking people, they wanted public input on the Ewing Young Bridge, which is going to be something that we had asked them to do that, reach out to the neighbors. And they talked about several of the other CPRD projects. And they are looking to the Housing Authority. We had our meeting the other night. Housing Authority, Stratus is moving along. They've got folks in the tribal voucher system ready to move in, where they are looking to Newburgh for another project. So they're not letting any grass grow under their feet on getting that going. They talked about the federal funding, AOC Board of Directors. We talked about the amicus brief and whether or not we were going to be involved in that. Board of Health. We had a Board of Health meeting yesterday morning, talked about some of the issues which are, unfortunately, there's just a high potency marijuana. You know, it's not your grandparents' weed anymore. We have a 4% THC concentration in the 90s, and now it's 25%. So talked about,
It's like 30,
that,
36. I think there was a record 40% or
oh,
somewhere.
hello. But anyhow, we talked about the impact on adolescent brain development and the chronic pain deflection update. We talked about the overdose fatality review, the suicide coalition, and the triennial review, which is what OHA is taking a look at us. They talked about one of the deficiencies or a finding is that the immunization Hep B, pushing the Hep B vaccine at birth, that is what's called deficiency there, and it's a finding from OHA. But interestingly, the Association of the Immunization Board is meeting today to actually talk about removing that Hep B from all of the infant requirements, because they're finding it's probably better to just see if women are testing positive for HB, hepatitis B, and not having to give the kids those vaccines. So one more thing is just, we really did have an outstanding turnout on our gas tax petitions. I know you were gathering signatures. I was gathering signatures. Commissioner King, I wanted to give the opportunity to sign this. Had you not signed the gas tax petition?
Thanks for putting me on the spot, but I already did with Commissioner Ben West. Thank you.
You signed it?
Yeah.
Wonderful. So hopefully this thing is just going to get kicked to the curb and we're going to be able to help our working families keep a little more money in their pocket. So, and thank you to all who pushed this. This was a really, this was a ground effort. So, so thank you very much.
All right. Right out of the gate, we got Lafayette. They had a really successful youth gym nights. That was in collaboration with Northwest Christian Church and McMinnville School District. They're going to be having another one, if I'm not mistaken. Do you know when? February. Okay, so nothing set in stone yet, but there will be another one. So keep an eye on that with the probably who posts that? Is it McMinnville or Washer?
It's not Washington. We, as the city, will probably post it.
Post an update. Okay. So keep an eye out on the city's Facebook or website for an update on that. Also, Lafayette has Holiday Festival coming up this Saturday, so go check that out. On the 15th, a small group of Parks Board members and our county administrator met up at Metzger Park as kind of a offset parks meeting up there to get a little back history on Metzger from our county administrator, because he's been involved in parks since he started with the county. And so he's got a lot of back history to go with that. And plus we did a little kind of sightseeing tour on where the trails used to be or got washed out. And now what's the plan for maybe new trails or boardwalks. And I thought it was very productive. It was nice to hear the background history on the volunteers that went up there and built the original covered area that's still up there, and actually is in pretty good condition other than over the years, the vandalism that we've had to take care of. Because there used to be a kayak rental for Rainbow Lake that was in that same shed. Storage.
It was a storage unit that they used to be able to store canoes and kayaks in.
And then there's a lab up there for, or
Yeah.
used to be a lab or.
Yeah. There was a education lab, and then there was also all the display cases, that were on them. Unfortunately, those were a lot of repairs that were made over the years that
Mhm.
just to further secure the building and just repair the building.
Yeah.
But you're right, it's in good shape.
Yep. I think the biggest thing is just doing redevelopment of the trails. They're there, they're just overgrown. You can see old placards that used to be there to describe certain areas, whether you're overlooking Rainbow Lake or certain vegetation. It's got some high hopes for it. At least I do, and I think in a fairly short time period too. So I'm looking forward to that. It was a good meeting. 17th, we had Sheridan City Council meeting. I think the biggest thing that happened that night was Yvonne's retirement ceremony. Basically, she worked there for over 24 years, or right at 24 years. And so huge congratulations to her. And I know we have Cale, Mayor of Sheridan, here in the audience. So I thought I'd do a little shout out for that. They had their third readings on raising some water rates and their sewer rates, which is consistent pretty much at every city council meeting that I go to. They're trying to just keep up with cost of living or inflation rates at the 2.5% to 3%. So they're minimal, and I'm not targeting just Sheridan. Dayton had the same conversations too, and it is a consistent theme. November 18th, I helped out with the Grand Cheromina passing out food boxes. I liked seeing the process because I've donated food over the years, and I can continue to YCAP, and to watch that distribution process to the different food banks is interesting, and got to hand out some of our apples that we donated, some of our potatoes that we donated. So it's always nice to see. I like the process that those guys have there. I didn't know this, but they were the second largest food bank in Yamhill County. And if you guys want to volunteer, I couldn't quite catch the date. I know they've posted it, but I think it's December 20th, they're going to do a handout, which is different from what they originally posted. So go on their website or their Facebook to verify when their handout is for December.
And we did that last time with the sheriff. We were all lined up on the main road. Cars just drove up.
Yep, drive right up.
Hand out
Mhm.
lots and lots and lots of mass produce and protein and turkeys and
Yep. Also on the 18th was Dundee City Council meeting. I think the biggest thing there was Terrain, which is the big hotel development coming in there, came in and asked the city for an abatement of their TLT tax. So it'll be interesting to see, watch the rest of that discussion. There was no decision made on it, but like to see how that conversation goes over the next month or so. November 19th was the Parks Board meeting. Discussion with the Yamhill County watershed for dam removal, mainly going up Baker Creek. Very interesting conversation. So Soil and Water was there and Oregon Department of Fish and Wildlife was there, and that's the collaboration. Mainly the funding would be coming from, or the ideas on what to do would be coming from Oregon Department of Fish and Wildlife. But the idea would be to remove the dam at Juliet to allow fish passage up to Rainbow Lake. So it's a very interesting concept. There's a smaller dam at Rainbow Lake that would be, it's basically an overflow. I don't know that it actually would affect Rainbow Lake too much. There's nothing set in stone, but as we progress through those conversations, I definitely would like to see the public get involved in those to see what the appetite is for what the focus wants to be, whether we want fish passage up there, a combination of fish passage plus keeping Rainbow Lake up there. But just putting that on your radar so you guys can be involved in it. Again, nothing set in stone, and it probably will be a long process to figure out what it looks like, but there is funding out there right now for dam removal. So that's coming up with Parks Board. November 20th, AOC, we had a short meeting, nothing major there. We had our Fair Board meeting, discussed some remedies for updating or being a little bit more preemptive about updating our calendar, because there were some issues about riders coming in and it already being double booked. So we're definitely addressing that for whoever's listening. I know it's not isolated to just one person. It is a multiple group, and that's kind of why I'm making the announcement here. We are addressing it, and we do know we have a few issues there. As Commissioner Sterrett mentioned, went to the Safe Families event and supported those guys. It's a great event. And I will say Harvest Fresh makes one heck of a sandwich.
Oh, yeah.
That was a good lunch. November 21st, had the pleasure to attend the Zero Waste event. And when they say zero waste, it is zero waste. It is all plates from like washable plates, washable silverware, washable cups, everything for that whole event was zero waste. And I really did appreciate the invite to that, and I look forward to next year's. Great to see also Recology there, because it's in combination with Recology, Zero Waste, working with them to continue that zero waste for mainly McMinnville area. November 25th was McMinnville City Council meeting. It was canceled. November 26th, a quick update from the COG Board of Directors. We're still kind of navigating finances. It is looking a little bit more promising. We have some revolving loan funds that we loaned money from to operate COG over the years that we're trying to address on how it gets paid back to the revolving loan fund plus interest. So just kind of stay tuned on that, but it's definitely looking more promising for COG as we progress. And definitely shout out to McCrae, who's our interim director right now on that, and she's definitely keeping everything moving forward. And our meetings went from once a month, it seems like every week, and now we're having some form of a meeting about Council of Governments, and it's keeping everybody very well informed on the direction that we're going there, and I feel good about it. November 28th, had a quick check-in with Gustavo Guerrero, who's Senator Merkley's regional representative, and we discussed project funding coming up for 2026. We brought up the radio tower again and re-upping that. Also that on the 28th was the Santa Parade for McMinnville. Congratulations to them for keeping a very well-packed parade. It is very well attended every single year, and the weather was fantastic.
And you were the Grinch?
There was many of Grinches in that parade. In fact, when you watch the recording from the local news channel, it's like, oh, there's another Grinch. Oh, how many are we up to? Yeah. So there's a lot of Grinches in that one. December 1st was Dayton City Council meeting. They had their first reading to adopt their TSP. And they also had their first reading again to adjust their water and sewer rates. And they did the minimal on that. I think it was also 3%. December 2nd was Carlton City Council meeting. They discussed mostly about what letter that they should write to the Planning Commission, which that meeting is tonight. And I do appreciate the time and effort that they put into it. It pretty much took up 3/4 of their meeting on discussion on what letters they should send to it. And it's always nice to see the deliberation. And I do appreciate the time that they've put into that. AOC board meeting to discuss signing on support for Eugene City Council, as in council attorney, not their city council. And tonight is chat with a chair at 6 p.m. at YCGC, which is your Yamhill County Government Services Building. John's, I think, is going to step up a survey so we can actually officially rename it. He's had some creative names that he's come up with. He didn't like it when I said the YCGC. I thought it rolled off the tongue pretty nice, but. And then following tonight's chat with the chair at 6 p.m., we will be coming down to the Planning Commission meeting that starts at 7 p.m. in this room. There will be overflow out there, the overflow TV and overflow speakers. So as this room fills up, you'll still be able to hear the hearing and be able to watch it on the TV out there. So we'll be prepared.
And online.
And online, Ken and Lance definitely have been promoting. It's going to be a packed house, so make sure if you're not into crowds, Zoom is an option.
On the radio towers, I talked to Gustavo about that as well, and we funded 2 lines, and that, but we still have 3 lines if anybody's paying attention to this on at home. But we have 3 lines. I spoke with the sheriff yesterday about the need to continue to upgrade those lines as well, and they're so old. So that's we'll amend our ask to the senator coming up. I'm going to get with Brian soon and to work through that with Brian and Gustavo. So
fantastic. All right. If there's anything else for the good of the order.
Just some really quick updates I can say, because you mentioned the Government Services Building and kind of where we're at on that.
Yamhill County Government Services Building.
Correct.
I'll make it longer. That's good.
All right. YCGSB.
YCGSB.
So we have a procurement that's open right now because, of course, we've been slowly throughout this year occupying the building. We're right now at the point we're requiring construction before we can fully occupy the remaining spaces that are there. That procurement is opened. It's the invitation to bid closes next week. So we're coming up on some major milestones. So hopefully it'll start to take shape what we're looking at as far as timelines for the next phase and occupying that. The second part that I would just mention and have it on the board's radar, it's really tight timelines, but they have the courthouse facility task force. They're convening that to prepare recommendations. There's a meeting tomorrow to prepare recommendations, and it's for the next biennium. I find it interesting that there's pretty tight timelines, and it's not something that's even going to be discussed until 2027. But we were able to work with the team. We submitted a proposal, a summary for improvements within the courthouse, because with the tax and assessment office move and in working with the courts, we've been working on designs for adding another courtroom, adjusting some court operations, or making improvements in the spaces that we're going to be vacating in the courthouse, what few spaces county still occupies. And so I'll be presenting that to the task force tomorrow morning.
Nice.
So once we get more information, I'll make sure I share that information with the board and some of the designs and concepts that we've been working on. But we were able to present it at the last court security meeting to get input from the judges as well. And we've presented it to the sheriff's office. So we feel like we have a really good plan in motion. So again, I just wanted to give some quick updates on where we're at facilities wise.
Can you give us a little background on the state program? Is it matching funds? What's the percentages on that?
It's
And-
matching funds. It's strictly matching funds. I don't think a lot of people know that the courts operate here, but it's the obligation of the county to provide the courthouse. And they do have a program subject to the availability of funds to help offset costs for remodel, construction, and even some limited planning. That seems like it's a new category that they just added. And so what we're trying to pursue is courthouse remodel funds so we can build out the courtroom. And we're looking at anywhere, depending on the program, it's a 40% or a 50% match.
Okay.
If you get funded. I think most importantly, when you look at kind of the history of the program, there's been the turnaround, it could be 5 years. You just have to find your place in line. And up until this point, we've been working very diligently on various plans around the facilities and trying to get things into place. And so this will be the first time that we're really submitting, and I don't remember the last time the county had submitted for these funds, but the first time since I've been with the county that we're going to be submitting for these funds to hopefully get a place in line, to at least get some funds to offset those costs.
And also the HHS, which is pretty exciting, the design build for the 2 separate buildings that will be demolished,
Correct.
and then the rebuild for the recovery housing, which is pretty exciting.
Correct. We did a note, we completed that procurement, did a notice of intent to award, and there should be a contract with Haworth Construction coming before the board in the very near future.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think that's expected for you.
Good.
Correct.
Good.
All right, there's nothing else for the good order. I will close this out at 11:06. Thank you, everybody, for coming.